Hello, welcome. I am Kira858, and today we're here for episode 5 of Lords of Faerun. We have so much to show you and discuss today, but first, we would like to give a huge thank you to the love and support we've received for Lords of Faerun. We have nearly doubled our follower count since Lord of Faerun begun, and are only 10 followers away from 200 followers. We receive fan art from fantastic artists and have witnessed numerous discussions regarding these lovable characters, and I will forever be grateful for all the interest, love, and support that's been going on for the show. It truly does mean the world to us. Speaking of fan art, I want to bring in some fantastic artwork produced by an artist known as Modern Cho. Modern Cho did this design shortly after our last episode. And here we get to see Shireen in all of her glory, played by the wonderful Havana Rama. It's safe to say she warmed her way into the hearts of many individuals. And it was great to see that reunion between Shireen and her little brother Latrell. So if you can, definitely go ahead and give Modern Cho a follow. He's a fantastic artist that you could be able to locate on Twitter. And you often will see him in Havana's Rama's streams. So next, we have our Die Hard Dice giveaway. To celebrate Die Hard Dice and Pride, we're giving away one free Jacrona of Pride dice set. To enter, you will need to enter !raffle in chat, and you will need to be a follower of the channel to win. And subscribers get an extra bonus episode. We will reveal the winner at the end of the stream. So good luck to everyone. Lords of Faerun is now sponsored by Idle Champions. Idle Champions is one of the biggest D&D games around, and by entering exclamation mark code in chat, you'll receive a free Electrum chest. This chest provides free premium content to help accelerate your progress and help accelerate you in the game. So enjoy that. And if you like our show and would like to support us, Lords of Faerun, of course, has a Patreon. All the funds sent to our Patreon goes directly to the cast. And our Patreon offers exclusive content like after shows, podcasts, Discord channels, and even bonus episodes. Once we reach a certain goal, we will shoot our next bonus episodes. And more so, the next bonus episode will be determined by our Patreon members. A poll will be generated with ideas of pairings and circumstances, and the winner of that poll will be our next bonus episode. I can't wait to see what our Patreon members choose, and if this is just another way of saying thank you for supporting us. Your contributions helps us as content creators. And if you're not able to contribute financially, but would still like to support us, liking, retweeting, and getting the word out truly does mean the world to us. It makes a major difference, and we appreciate all the love and support that you've done for the channel. So with that said, it's time to introduce our cast. Unfortunately, we're down May and Diana today. They're currently busy doing different content, and May is, of course, dealing with Mother Nature. So hopefully, May continues to fight that battle strong, living in Nevada. But of course, we'll start with our fantastic DM, Aliza. Aliza, would like to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, I'm Eliza Pearl. I am dungeon mastering this lovely party in their campaign, Lords of Faerun. And I have a bunch of stuff going on. I've made a list now because I always forget to tell people what I'm doing. So Saturdays I'm here doing Lords of Faerun. And then after this at 5 p.m. Pacific, I'll be streaming with the Gax Pack, Jason Charles Miller's D&D 5e campaign over at GaryCon Live. That's at 5 p.m. Pacific. And then the last Mondays of the month, I run a Klingon Star Trek Adventures campaign called Blood of the Void. So we're coming back in a couple of weeks, the last Monday in July, whenever that is. And that's on Q Times. Tuesdays, I'm doing a Dune Learn to Play campaign lasting through early August. And that's at 5:30 p.m. Pacific on Saving Throw Show channel. And then otherwise, you can find me over at Appease Aliza. I'm going to start streaming there soonish. And also Ripley Improv. We stream Fridays at 6 p.m. Pacific. We're right now between main stage shows. We just closed Slay, and we're going to figure out what we're going to do next. But we're going to just do random streams on at 6 p.m. on Fridays. So I'll pop up there every now and then.
Awesome. Fantastic. Great to always be busy, that's for sure. Next, we, of course, have our good friend, Adrian. Adrian, like to introduce yourself for your plan.
Hey everyone, I'm Adrian Bear. You can call me Aries as well, and I am playing Jesse Diaz, who is very happy that he has some warm winter clothing right now. And yeah, lots of things you can find me on. Big favor to ask if anyone would like to jump onto my Twitter at the Adrian Bear. I have a sort of important family message I'm trying to get out there. We're looking for someone. So if anyone wants to like and tweet and share that, please have a look. That's all I'll say.
Awesome. Definitely keep an eye out for that. Retweet that and support that if you can. Next, of course, we have is our good friend Reed. Reed, if you'd like to introduce yourself and who you're playing.
Yes, hello everyone. I am at Big Dude Re on the Twitters, where I do sometimes post fun things. And I will be playing Avis Naquani, the lovely bard with the silver tongue.
Ooh, awesome. And last but totally not least, we have, of course, Glyza. Glyza, you'd like to introduce yourself and who you're playing.
Hey, so hi, I'm glad to be back. I am Glyza from Classical Adventures for One, and I will be playing Helena, the elf with a secret. I am on many other projects as well. My main project right now is I'm working on season 2 of my podcast, where I discover about Hercule Poirot and the Agatha Christie. Explore and study those books. I'm also on other TTRPG projects, mostly on Adrian Bear's, Adrian's Twitch, where I will be playing Michaela, another character with a secret on Blood on the Bayou, and also City of Mist, which will be starting tomorrow on Monday. So no, not tomorrow. On Monday. Sorry, time is so weird right now. But it will be starting on Monday, and I'm super excited to play it. So catch me on those projects.
Awesome. As for yours truly, I'm Kira858. Of course, I'll be talking about the project towards the end of the stream, but I'm playing the half giant Latreo, who discovered quite a bit about his history not too long ago, actually last episode, enough, and the consequences of the information given. It should be interesting. So, with that said, we're going to bring in our intro video for episode 5 of Lords of Faerun.
Latreo, Avis, Jesse, Helena, Ice, Elliot, Aliza as DM, Lords of Faerun.
All right, and we are back. With that said, Aliza, take it away.
Okay. It is morning on the Great Glacier. You all are waking up and you find yourselves having spent the night in Shireen's tent, her campgrounds, where she sets up shop to go hunting out on the Great Glacier, which is where you encountered her the night before. You wipe the sleep out of your eyes and you see that Shireen has started a fire already and is roasting some type of small animal and has some, a steaming kettle with some type of steaming liquid in it, some cups, some bowls arranged, and is just steadily preparing some type of provisions.
So Latreo, of course, would kind of stew from his slumber, like Aladdin or the tiger from Aladdin. And as he does, kind of stretches out his arms, he makes his way over to Shireen. And as he sits next to her, he kind of like leans his head against her arm and say, "So, where are the Dornors right now?"
Well, first of all, good morning, little one.
Good morning.
And second of all, yeah, there's a lot of catching up to do with what has happened here since you've been gone. So I bet you're wondering where Persina and Adoris and Nerphalia are, our mom. And they're safe. They live a bit of a ways north from here. But the Dornors have not bothered us for a long time. We made peace, well, not peace, we came to a truce with them that if they don't get in our way, we won't get in theirs. And so they're back where they came from, further northeast of here.
He nods. But anybody who takes a closer look could definitely tell that there is like a grip against the ground as his fist clenches upon that idea. But in an interesting fashion, he holds his tongue, which he normally doesn't do. And then he looks up and says, "Well, if you could tell me where, well, I would love to see our family because I haven't got the chance to see them. But there's no peace for me. Not now. Not after what they've done. They've taken me away. They've changed everything. But, losing the ability to be able to see you all, to not be able to listen to mom telling me stories while I go to sleep. You teaching me room magic. They took away all of that. Literally all of that. And I was stuck in the middle of a forest for, fortunately things turned out okay in the end. But they still took that away from me. And so even though others may have got closure, I have not and will not until I scorch earth their entire existence."
Shireen takes this in, kind of staring into the fire and taking in your words. And then she turns to look at you and just kind of turns her whole tall upper body to look over at you. "I hear you. It's terrible what they did. And it just ate us up. It tore us apart to lose you. But if you go and start some stuff with them, then you're shaking things up for us. So you would need to completely finish it if you did." And she looks over at you and your party and sees the dragons outside the tent. "I understand you all are strong and talented champions, but to take on a whole clan of giants, even you would need a lot of help for that."
He nods. There's a slight gulp because he hates. There's so much reasoning, and then of course it's his big sister, so he understands, but he hates realizing limitations. It's like there's so much truth there. It's like there's feelings and then there's logic. That's what he's thinking aside. But he looks up at her and then he nods and says, "I understand. I don't want this to fall on any of you. So when or if I decide to move forward with this, this will be as a Ravana. This would be as Latrell. And so I will make sure they both see the light of day. Hence, scorch earth. I'm making sure that lightning falls and nothing, absolutely nothing, will remain.
Okay, little brother. You're pretty tough, huh?
He nods. I had good training.
She pats your head.
It's funny how his body language changes from like super cocky and confident to like a cheerful little boy. Once the bad guy comes in on the face, he smiles. He said, "Thanks." Well, what do you have planned for today?
Well, you all mentioned last night that you want to see Yimra, and she's actually closer to us than our family is. I mean, in terms of like actual distance, I rarely see Yimra. She's very much, she kind of keeps to herself. But I could take you to where she is. We should probably just do that first thing, get that out of the way.
I would like that. And the more time I can spend with you, the better. I know that, well, from what I've learned from last night, that storm giants like to transfer on their own. But I like this. I really like this. So if I could get more time with you, it'd be nice.
Sure, little brother. And she grabs you by the neck and gives you a noogie.
Oh, I mean, that's like, he's probably like the 2 fingers.
Yeah, she's just using 2 fingers.
He's like, oh, wow, my hair doesn't cover it. Okay, my hair does not cover it. Thank you. All right, well, let me go wake the others to see if they're okay.
All right, I found the smallest bowls I could find in my pack. And you look at the bowls are like twice the size of your heads.
Mm-hmm.
So come get some food and then we'll head out to Yimra. It's a beautiful day, actually. And she exits the tent on that, and you can see her kind of like clump a little bit further away, and she starts doing some like stretches out on the ice sheet, doing some frost giant yoga.
I would say as she heads out of the tent, you might see off in the distance that Jesse and Jackson got up a little earlier this morning because Jesse's trying to get himself accustomed to the rhythm out here. You know, the different way that water moves and the sounds of the ice and the sounds of the winds and such. So he and Jackson actually went up a little bit of ways onto the glacier, and Jesse actually took off as many layers as he could to kind of like get himself a little bit cold, and so he could like hop himself up a bit and start listening just to the rhythm of the winds and the creaking of the ice. And he started doing moving into a couple of almost dance-like repetitive motions where he would start working out. And this is something he and Jackson would do often with each other. And Jackson would like lunge at him and take a few swipes and stuff, but all in this very dance-like motion where you could tell that it could become fighting if a person really wanted it to. But this is all a series of motions where they're practicing, and it's getting the blood pumping and the sweat's dripping from his body and probably freezing quite quickly as well in the icy chill there. But it's beautiful to watch, but quite interesting to see this relatively large dragon kind of dance, swinging his tail at a man who is under normal circumstances could quite easily be eaten by this dragon. And I would say that Shireen will probably catch the tail end of this warm up as Jesse's heart rate's definitely a lot better now, and he's starting to put back on the extra layers and such.
Hold on. So let's rewind a little bit before that happens. Yeah. During this time that you've been doing this kind of like dance fight training, first of all, I imagine it as like
it's like capoeira.
It's like, yeah, okay. It's like like Jackson is your Watcher dragon, and you're Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like Jackson's like holding up his like wing claws, and you're just like having to punch them. And it's like swiping his tail under your legs, and you have to jump up and flip over them.
Yeah.
And the second thing is you take off these layers, and I'm not gonna. I just want to see something. I'm not gonna get you for it. But since we are in extreme cold because we're on the Great Glacier, I'm going to have you do a DC 10 Constitution saving throw to see how well you do in this cold weather with this training sequence.
It's all part of that.
Are you going to make it
part of that monkly?
Are you going to
training?
Make it to a full sweat, or are you
22?
Okay, so you do indeed manage to get a full sweat going with this motion, which is very impressive because it is very cold out here, and you're working up a sweat with your dragon trainer. Okay, so now
that Wim Hof training coming in there.
There you go. So yes, you pull back on your layers of fur, and you see Shireen not too far from you, doing her morning stretches, and the ground kind of creaks and strains underneath her as she like moves into warrior pose, and boom, one leg goes forward with the knee pointing forward and the back leg is straight. You see her doing this frost giant warrior pose, looking like a mountain herself. Oh, good morning.
Morning, Shireen.
How did you sleep?
Honestly, a lot better than I thought I would. It's I guess it's just something about the way that it's slow, it's imperceptible, but that ice is still moving. It kind of reminds me a little bit of being on a boat in a different kind of way. It's kind of comforting.
Huh. Yeah, I could see that.
How's the big man doing? You guys have a nice catch up?
You said the big man?
Well, big to me.
She throws her head back and laughs. You mean my little bro?
Your little big bro. My big. Anyway, your brother.
Oh, he's doing great. He has a lot of questions and a lot of vengeful rage. So he's going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, I understand that, that these things got to run their course, Trying to put a block in the middle of that is probably going to be like, well, have you ever been anywhere where like a wagon has gotten out of control and is running down a hill? You don't want to jump in front of it because that sucker's just going to hit you. You just kind of want to let it run and hit the end of wherever it's going to hit and then pick up the pieces afterwards. I imagine that's kind of what Latreia is going through.
So my brother is a runaway dragon? Oh, wagon, I mean?
In terms of that, I'd say so. That's all good. He's got folks around him that'll be there to help pick up the pieces when everything falls to the ground. That's okay.
I guess so.
And we will do our best to try and make sure that none of that falls back on you lovely folks if there's a chance of that happening. So
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to see how it all goes down.
Was there anything you would like? Well, see, it's just the two of us out here. Well, three of us. But
I'm still here too. Did you forget who just trained you and made you break out into a sweat?
Of course. I never forget you.
Jackson adjusts his glasses and says,
the three of us out here. Is there anything you'd want us to, like, I don't know, try and keep an eye out for, or any advice you'd want us to keep in the background there? Because you might know a few situations better than we do, but any help or anything you might need from myself or Jackson here with regards to your brother.
Mm, just look out for him.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's family.
Yeah, I'm glad that he has a family when we couldn't be there for him.
Well, I mean, we've had the great opportunity to be out here now and meet with you, and I think there's going to be a lot of good times in that man's future, which is a good thing to see. So, we did want to ask you about Imra. Was it you said that you might know of this person? Like, how far away roughly would we need to go from here?
Not far, probably a few, well, a couple thousand feet from here, just along the edge of the Great Glacier. That's where her cave entrance is.
Oh, well, all right. That sounds good. Now I'm going to go in and see if I can rustle up some breakfast and maybe, I don't know, see if I can drag ice out of her comfy blankets.
Well, I already covered the breakfast part, so I'll leave you to the other part.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I'll see y'all in a minute. Come on, kid. If you want to eat, Latreyu's there. You know how that goes.
Yeah, so when you all come inside the cave, Latrell was originally going to wake up Avis until Shireen brought out food. And then I rolled a wisdom check to see which one he would actually go for. And sadly, hunger reigned supreme. So what happens is you essentially see him you see a huge bowl sitting next to the sleeping Avis. And then, of course, Betrayal just eating right next to him. Just diving into the conceit. He halfway did his job. Halfway.
Yeah.
Avis, are you awake yet?
Yeah, he tried.
I would say so. At this point, he would have woken up, even if it's just because the trail's eating. Well, it's good to see that you are doing well today, Betrayal.
Latrell looks down. He says, "Oh, well, yes, I found family. I didn't think I'd be able to. There's food. I didn't touch it. I promise." And you point to the big old bowl that's pretty much bigger than your head. It's literally right next to your head. He says, I left it alone. I was going to wake you up, but then my stomach sounded like a polar bear, so I had to take care of that first."
Feel free to eat as much as you like. Me and you kid managed to find a good amount of food yesterday, so I'm not particularly hungry at the moment.
Well, is this a trick? I can really, it's okay. I can. He slowly starts to reach his hand towards Amos's bowl because he's just like, he always get ridiculed when he eats other people's food. So he just like slowly reaches his hand towards Amos's bowl. And when things looks okay, he drags it to his ring. He says, "Thank you." And then pretty much takes the second spoon and just starts double fisting the two of breakfast. One in each bowl. It just starts.
It isn't going anywhere, Latrell. Take your time.
We have a lot to do though. It used to just like we have to meet Yaru. We have to find place for our dragons. We gotta I would have seen my family.
All of those things will happen in time. There's no need to rush. My people have a saying, things occur when they're going to occur, regardless of if we want them to occur.
From that, he stops eating, which is an amazement. Oh, wait. Something must have happened. We lost Glyza. Sorry, give me 1 second. We just be on break. Give me just 1 second. We'll go a quick break to see what happens.
We'll be back.
Be right back. Sorry, 1 second. What happened? Oh, okay. She should have photo. All right, we are back. Sorry about that, everyone. Oh, wait, my apologies. Give me just 1 second. Actually, we have to move some things around.
Okay. Do a little musical.
Yeah, there's a few musical chairs. We can keep going while that happens. That should be. Yep, just got to move a few things around. Sorry about that, everyone, but it's okay. Yeah, so I think. Oh, I was actually in that moment. It was. So just give me just 1 second.
In the meantime, we're live, right? We're streaming.
Yes, we're actually live.
In the meantime, if you haven't already signed up for our Patreon, go do that now. Go take a look. Yes. Because Kira is doing an awesome job of running our streams, and we need all the support we can get. So go check out our Patreon. And what is the Patreon called?
Oh, it actually just came in the link in chat. You will see it in chat where it says Patreon users. But actually, there's a command there where you just played it. If you put ! Patreon, that would actually take you to our Patreon page. Once again, we have multiple different levels. Our medium level allows you to get access to all of the after shows, and then of course our high level allows you access to the bonus episodes. Which, like I said, we definitely have a few ideas for pairings in the near future.
Mm-hmm. And an idea that came from today, actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, yeah, all right. Interesting. So the windows, of course, back to normal. So we should be good to go. Also, Dr. Doom Eternal, thank you so much for the 100 bits. We definitely appreciate it.
Woo! Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yay, bits.
All right.
Yay, bits. Thank you.
Okay.
So yeah, I think. So I think I was in mid pause. I was. He was eating food from 2 bowls, and then Avis gave a fantastic family line about patience and how it would happen when it does. And so he kind of stops for a second, then looks at Avis and says, maybe you're right. Never thought about it that way.
Sometimes I do know what I'm talking about. Take your time and prepare yourself. I imagine things will be very interesting soon.
He nods. And then when he eats, he actually puts, which is a remarkable feat, he actually puts the spoon that he was using to eat from Ava's bowl to the side and just focuses on one bowl at the time and return you back to his normal pace. Now kind of self-reflecting on that statement. Interesting.
That's a Latreyu love language.
Yep.
Yeah.
To not eat everyone else's food.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, I'm making my way back to where we're sitting around eating, and Jesse will stop and give everyone like a little morning hug, as is his ritual, and we'll sit down and grab a bowl. What is this we're eating, by the way? This seems interesting. It's nice.
What are we eating? I mean, Latreyu getting, he doesn't care, but
you are eating rabbit stew.
Oh yeah.
So he would say, looks like rabbit stew. It's good. It's really good.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah. Avis said I can have some of mine. Half his. But if you're hungry after your bowl, you can have some.
Well, this bowl's about the size of my head, fellas, so I think I'll be good.
Speaking of which, just a reminder to everyone watching as well, our dear frost giant friends are very large. They're about 26 feet tall. At least Shireen is 26 feet tall. And so her tent is, it is not tall enough for her to stand in. It is a tent. But let's say it is about 18 feet tall. So you and your dragons actually, or at least a couple of dragons, could fit comfortably inside this tent. So I'm envisioning that a couple of the dragons are outside the tent and a couple have been inside with you. The stove and the fire that she has been cooking from is very large as well. So think maybe 10 feet tall. The pot itself is probably like 5 feet in circumference, and the spit that she had roasted the rabbit first above the spit, and that is about 10 feet tall. You also notice that the rabbit and the vegetables that she has stored in some. You see baskets, a couple of baskets with the supplies she brought for her camping trip. You see very large radishes, very large beets, potatoes. The rabbit skin, she skinned the rabbit and then roasted it and then put it in the stew. You see bones floating in your soup that are very large for a rabbit.
So it's just like giant size. Everything is giant. Even the rabbit appears giant size. Well, for him, maybe not as giant size, but some of the stuff is like is now like, okay, I now can see things at eye level versus just like what's down there. So for him, this feels great.
Shireen comes back in. She's like, okay, looks like everyone has broken their fast. Are we ready to head out?
Latrell nods. He says, yes, boy, ready. Kind of stretches out, pats his belly. Even though he eats all of that, he still has that rock solid 6-pack. He says, ready when you are. Let's go. How do you find rabbits so huge around here?
Oh, we breed them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Would you happen to have any extra that we may be able to take when we leave?
We could take a look. We could take a look while we're out.
Awesome. Because
where would we put the rabbits?
I was just about to ask the same thing.
I can carry them and eat them.
I do not doubt your strength, my friend. It is formidable, but you would be unable to carry rabbits through these lands for long, while also flying and doing whatever else is necessary. Perhaps on our way leaving.
Shireen grabs her pack, her hiking pack, puts it on her shoulders, and then crouching down. She goes over to the entrance. She says, there are lots of ways that you can prepare a rabbit. You can, you could skin it and save the fur to make some gloves or something like that. Or I guess for you could make like a whole shirt or something. You could steam it. You could smoke it. You can jerky it. And she just kind of lists out all these ways of making rabbit as she exits the tent.
It's about all the different kinds of ways of rabbit I know.
He listens to every single one. It's almost like he's taking a mental note inside his brain of just like, okay, I can do this. I can do that.
We're going to cut forward to on the trail. She's like, you can actually cube it and freeze it, put it in the ice. Frozen rabbit is such a great treat. You could even stick some little branches in it and make it into kind of like a popsicle. You could jerky it. You could, I already said that one. You could add a lot of spices.
Would the popsicles be the blood of the rabbit or the meat of the rabbit?
The meat. I would say the meat. Although, rabbit blood popsicles. That's a good one. You actually could take the rabbit blood and make a really nice warm drink from it. You could, it's just on and on and on.
And she is awesome. She is awesome.
Jesse's face has definitely gone a little green around the gills at the mention of like rabbit blood popsicles. Like, I think I might skip that one if it's okay.
What's wrong? What's wrong with rabbit blood popsicles? Shireen asks.
There's something about that just doesn't seem right. I don't know.
But there's
you want to
something
use
to
every
be
part
said.
of the animal.
That is something to be said for your resourcefulness.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you're disgusted by it, no one's going to force you to have a rabbit blood popsicle, but you should find some other way to use it because you want to use every part of the animal out here on the Great Glacier. That's kind of how we live.
I suppose that makes sense.
I
just like add it into the stew or something.
Yeah. That's what I usually do.
All right.
And well, all of the ways you mentioned sound good to me. I mean, rabbit blood popsicles. I mean, you have something to lick on for, well, depending upon where you are, maybe hours. That sounds good. And he just imagines it in his head, and you just see his eyes kind of dart back and forth, and you just see like the bubble just go boop, 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 boop. And then you see a picture of like a rabbit blood popsicle just there. It's just like, pretty good.
And as this discussion about rabbit blood popsicles continues, I want everyone to roll me actually, what is everyone's passive perception? Let's do it that way.
Okay. 17 for Jason.
Okay.
13.
16.
Okay, Jesse, with your 17, you look up just before Shireen herself looks up, being closer to the sky, and you both see a young white dragon flying closer to you all. And Jesse, you recognize this dragon as Trebush.
All right. Well, Jesse's gonna pop out his wings and he's gonna fly up to meet him, and he'll be hovering there, having a I'll raise the people's eyebrow and have a smile on my face and be looking at Helena. Well, look what the dragon brought in.
So, this is how I want the whole thing to, like, you know, Trebush and I are like doing cartwheels around. It was just like the most obnoxious way of dive bombing. And then it's like, and then sees Jessie come close, and she's like, so it's like cartwheels and then stops, but like not enough that, like, you know, it would be like, but also that same basically aura. And she's like, hi, Jessie, I have an announcement to make. And then just dives bomb and just like jumps off, like dives and then lands very, very beautifully on the ground. And it's just like jumps off of the dragon, is like just standing there like a superhero pose for no point whatsoever. Just standing there and waiting for people to come down and be like, hi guys, I am back.
He kind of looks at Helena. It's like, oh, welcome back. Well, where'd you go?
I was on a trip within. I went on a long trip to look deep within, and I am ready to face my demons. That is where I was going.
What does that mean?
Are we fighting demons now?
I'm confused.
Demon! It's a very popular saying. Fighting your demons, your inner demons. That's where I was.
I believe she means that she is ready to do what must be done. It is a phrase.
Exactly. I am ready.
You were
Did
ready.
and then she points to the giant. Did I miss anything?
Oh, that's my sister, Shireen.
Yeah, who are you? You seem really great. I love the energy. I love the confidence. That landing was amazing. But who are you?
Hello, sister of Latreo, because that is all I know at the moment. My name is Helena, and I am a part of this group. But unfortunately, I did had some issues where I had to, fly and think about. But now I'm back, and I am ready. But I think there's some things that I need to know first. So, Helena, nice to meet you.
Nice to see you too. And she crouches all the way down and extends a hand.
Index finger.
Well, yeah, I was like, how much of it? She extends her whole hand, and you can choose how much of it you will grab.
Helena will grab like the forefinger and just goes.
Oh, I like this Helena.
So
Very different from the Helena of before. I am a new Helena.
And
But this is the only Helena you know, so.
Trebush says, she's really different now. It's like a whole new person. It's really exciting.
Latreo
Very
so
exciting.
confused. If evil person could have a permanent people's eyebrow, it'd just be him. He's just like, this is different.
It's funny because Helena now and Helena of before sound very similar. She just thinks she's completely different personality-wise, but she's exactly the same. She's just braver now.
Yeah,
Understood.
He's completely confused. He doesn't understand this at all.
Well, I am super happy that you have chosen to face your demons, and whatever that means, we will do that together. By that, well, I think we've got a bit to do here, but does this mean you want to, go and find out what was going on with those snakes, or is that the kind of what
Wait.
the deal is?
Where you guys have different goals right now, I will totally help you with those goals if you need be. Like, I'm brave, but I'm not completely ready, but I am ready. But it's not the kind of ready where I'm like, let's do it today, right this very second. But I am ready. But if you need other things first, I'll be like, I'll join you. It's okay. That kind of ready.
Well, in the spirit of being ready, I have a present for you. And JC's going to dig through his pack and hand Helena this the bunch of climbing gear that he bought just in case we need it. I got one for all of us.
Yes, I love gifts. So she grabs it and she starts looking at it and trying stuff out. Thank you so much, Jesse. I appreciate you.
And I appreciate you. And Jesse's also gonna pull out a little piece of cloth type hair tie thing, and he's gonna put up his hair into a nice loose man bun for today because the wind up here in the glacier is kind of blowing his hair in his eyes just a little bit in irritating fashion, so he kind of wants to put it up.
At this point, Helena does a little bit of magic trick. Like, there's some lights that happen, and her hair that is normally sort of longish, shoulder length, turns into a pixie cut.
Have we seen this before?
You should, because she does this a lot.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna see if Shireen notices that. She does. Oh wow, that's a neat little trick there.
Thank you. It's just a sort of illusionary trick.
Oh. Yeah, I saw you cast that spell. Nice.
Well, hopefully, there's a lot of things I need to share, but we can talk about it on the way. But safe to say, I will probably be needing all of your assistance. That's the big word. Need all of your help in the near future after we take care of a few things. Safe to say, as you kind of can imagine, there were some things that happened when I was younger by these frost giants. And I'm not going to allow them to walk away after what they've done. They did too much to myself and my family. And even though there's peace, there's no peace for me. So
I see you have demons to meet too. And then she whispers to Jesse, what did I miss?
Family reunion. Oh, and I almost got turned into like a lightning bug for a moment, but I survived, so it's all good.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say this up front. He looks up at Shireen and says, Shireen has made note that I would not be able to walk into this endeavor alone. I would not and so she stated that we may need help if we were to bring down this clan. As much as it pays for me to say this, she is probably right. Jackson, she is right.
Yeah, of course I'm right. I'm definitely right.
He nods. You can tell it hurts. One of the few things that hurts his soul is that, like, I can't just bum rush and just kill everything in sight. So he just pauses. He says, So we may need to gain some allies before we pursue this, maybe. Or maybe we can scope out the place towards the end to see who's all there and how much help we would need. But I will not rest until this clan is essentially evaporated from Faerun.
We're talking
Very
about
careful.
murder.
Entirely. No one will stand alive after this.
Interesting.
Should be careful with vengeance. The Dryad has a way of getting away from you.
So you all have had this conversation, and the conversation brings you to the opening of a cave. Shireen stands here and says, well, this is it. This is Yimra's cave. Now, there's no like formality or anything, but just enter slowly. We don't want to sneak up on her, surprise her, freak her out or anything. Now, remind me, who is it who wanted to ask her for something?
Just
Yeah, I was hoping to find out if she might have anything in the lines of, I don't know, some kind of charms or extra protection against the cold. And I think we were also hoping to find out if she might have any brewed potions of any kind, like healing potions and such, or something that might help us a bit further down the line. And also, I was kind of hoping, I don't know if she, being someone who deals with the arcane and such, she might have more of an idea of where my boy came from. And he's sort of like patting Jackson on his name. So we're hoping to find a place for the rest of his kin as well. We know it's up here somewhere, but we don't know where.
Okay. Okay, well, let's go. And Shireen just heads into the entrance of the cave. Do you all follow?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So as you enter this ice cave, you see that it basically is bored into the side of a hill of ice. If you imagine the way that a sand dune rises up from the surface of the sand and back down, this is kind of what this ice hill is. And someone, maybe Yibra, maybe it existed before her, someone has carved out an entrance that leads into a tunnel into this cave. There are many different ways that you can go. And Shireen comes to a fork where there's like 4 different tunnels and that go off in different directions, and they all seem very windy. And she says, so I think from what I've heard, I've never actually been here before, but legend has it in the family that all of these paths lead back to Yimra. It's just kind of to confuse people so that if anyone is indecisive or anything, if anyone shouldn't be here, they probably will not take a chance. But does anyone care which one we take?
It does not matter. If all roads to the same place, then all roads are equal.
Okay.
Can I make a little perception check? I want to see if any of these paths seem more well-traveled, or maybe, I don't know if that would be survival, actually.
Yeah, I would say survival.
All right.
I'm sorry, I'm sweating so much.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
Jeez.
The heat wave hit all of the West Coast.
My God.
That would be a 19.
Okay, so yes, you notice that one of the paths does seem to have been tread more recently than the others. And you notice some tracks that are similar size feet as Shireen's.
Okay.
And it's the second from the left path.
Kind of looks as if this path has been traveled a bit more here, so maybe we should be taking this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shireen looks down at the tracks. Yeah, let's I think that sounds like a good plan to me. And then Shireen just goes in.
There's definitely a genuine.
I don't know about you guys.
There's definitely a genuine smile on his face as he sees her walk. So he pretty much just follows suits after her because he enjoys it. He enjoys someone who has. You can see where his temperament comes from. That poof, that takeoff type ordeal runs in the family.
Helena goes, I don't know about you guys. I'm gonna follow the giants now, and just also like walks with Trebush and is just like, you know, they're walking, and you can tell that the flight, you know, Trebush and Helena are really close, but for whatever reason, they're a lot more chummier, if you can say that, during this like walk. So they're basically like, da, 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 da. You know, like you could tell that they had a good time during that trip.
Had some bonding while they were gone. Okay. So so this path, sure enough, you follow the tracks that are already there, and it's just this path has some wind to it, but you arrive not too long after at an opening. The end of this tunnel opens up onto a cave, and you see lots of stacks and stacks of things that have been packed into this cave. The only way to navigate through them is to find these little pathways. It's as if you're in a scimitar's maze of stuff. And so there are little pathways, well, not little to you, large enough for a 26-foot frost giant to walk through. But they are indeed pathways through just piles of stuff. And some of the things you see are there are furs, there are boots, there are discarded shells, there are broken like armor and broken weaponry. A lot of it kind of seems like junk to you. And so as you wind your way into these paths, you hear a booming voice coming from somewhere. Who goes there?
In what language?
It's in giant.
Oh, he looks up at Shireen. It says, Latrell?
Latrell? The lost boy? The lost boy, Latrell?
Yes. Hey, he's kind of nervous because does he recall this lady?
No.
No, he's like, yes. And he looks back up at Shireen like, how does she know me?
I mean, she kind of knows a lot of things, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Who are you talking to?
Oh. Shireen?
It's me, Shireen. Shireen of the Rivara clan. Little Shireen.
Others as well?
And others? Did I hear some other voices?
Helena.
Giant Avis will say, yes, indeed, there are others, though we aren't quite as important as the Treyu family.
Helena whispers to Jesse, did she say little Shireen?
I'm not sure. This kind of sound, every time they speak giant to me, it kind of sounds like, you know how there's that one bard troupe we saw where they were kind of like, the music was real heavy and like real hard. They were doing a lot of this with their hair. Every time they speak giant, it kind of just sounds like that to me.
Gotcha. Wait, is this all in giant? Because then we would, all right, well, then I retconned that. I'm like, what do you think he said? Because Helena doesn't understand giant.
It was a lot of like a raw Latrell, raw Shireen. It's about the best I could get out of that.
That makes sense.
What have you come here for? And of course, the two of you hear it as
Latrell would look up at Shireen before returning towards the cave ahead. It says, "We're looking for goods and perhaps help in fighting possible spots for our dragons. Would you be able to aid us?"
From above, you hear the crunching of ice and snow underneath very large boots. And also from above, any of you who look up will now see the face and upper torso, shoulders of a very large woman peering from another tunnel above you. "Oh, you need some goods? Well, as you can see, I have lots of things, but I don't give anything without getting something in return."
To clarify, how tall is she?
She is, you can't see her whole body yet, but judging from what you can tell, she's at least 4 or 5 feet taller than Shireen.
Oh. his eyes widen. Okay, go ahead. What are you about to say, Avis?
Avis would like to trigger his universal speech, targeting everyone, so that way everyone can at least understand what he is saying. And of course, we would never dream of denying you fair exchange. But my friends and I would like to obtain many different things, including information. So I imagine there can be, we can find ways to benefit all of us.
Avis, go ahead and roll persuasion.
What's this, a 32?
Right.
I rolled a 4, so that's a 23 total.
Oh, okay. You almost got us.
23.
The frost giant woman looks over at you, Avis. "Oh, that one speaks very well." And then her eyes look all over across the party, all of you. Are those the forgotten dragons? The forgotten white dragons. The red lance dragons that were hunted down.
No. What's that? Well,
So some survived after all. Well, well, some other dragons may not be expecting to see that.
what exactly do you mean, other dragons?
This is not very comfortable up here. Proceed through the maze and find me on the other side. And then she goes down the tunnel, like that gif of the little girl who is in the jungle gym slide, and she's like, and she goes down like that. That's what she does. And she's gone.
Avis, what was she saying there for a second? I didn't catch too much. I caught your end of it, but so she knows our dragons?
I'm not entirely sure, though it may be in our best interest to keep our heads down. It appears that what happened to our friends was not an accident, per se. She mentioned other dragons would not be happy to know that they still exist. This has been a very delicate conversation, but what is what we do?
Well, if the dragons have problems with Snowroot, then I kill them. Mission solved.
You seem angrier now, Latreo.
He pauses. No, I've always been like that. Same way with the others. When we were back at the island, when they were about to attack Snowroot, I was very upset. But they had the liberty of being Snowroot's siblings. So I was a good piece. These individuals are not. Snowroot's family. So if they try to hurt Snowroot, then I will let them.
Yes, also, do not mention the others until we can be sure of this person's proper allegiances. I'm sure that a friend of your family's is an upstanding person. However, we do not know the nature of alliances in this territory, and letting people know too much before we are ready is very risky.
Meanwhile, while you all are having this conversation,
wise.
Shireen has, she hears you talking. She's already moved off to try to find her way through this maze of junk. So she has turned a corner and you've lost sight of her.
Oh,
We should follow her.
mhm.
Just will also continue moving, but as we're walking, could I do like an active perception check as I'm walking? Because I want to see if any of these piles sort of brings out has been something interesting.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Is it right if I do a survival check to just make sure I keep in step with Shireen?
Yes.
Okay.
Go for it.
That's a natural one for an 8. So I think it's just too orderly for him right now.
Yeah. It still just looks like piles of junk. You're trying to see if there's something cool in there, like a ring of warmth or some special armor, and it all just looks like dusty nothingness to you.
While I am walking, can I cast the Detect Magic?
Yes. Where would you like to cast that? In what area or what direction?
Just as it'll just be the 30 feet around him as he's walking.
Okay. You don't detect any magic in this room. This room is probably about 30 feet wide. And nope, sorry, it'll be more than that. It's probably like 50 feet wide. But you just on the edge of your detect magic spell, on the other side of the room, you get something. You're feeling something faintly on the edge of that.
He will keep moving forward, and he will concentrate on it for the full 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I rolled an 18, so that's a +6, so that's 24. So he's essentially baby Yodaing his way behind Shireen. Just like,
Absolutely. And yes, if you'd like to, you can say you got up on her back. Do you actually want to do that?
oh yes, especially now that I know it's a maze, he'll kind of like tug her aside and be like, you're a bit faster than I am. Can I climb up?
Sorry. Yeah. She crouches down and lets you climb on. Anyone else want to ride?
No, I'm good. I can pop the wings out and just fly a little bit and have a look. And Jesse will do that. And as he's up there and kind of like keeping an eye on everyone, he'll say down to like the group basically is like, this Karen kind of reminds me a little bit of like my tia Lucida's place. She liked to collect a whole bunch of random things that came in on the shipwrecks. And we told her like, Tia, that stuff is just, you need to throw that away. That's just kind of like cluttering up your house. You don't need all these nets. What are you going to do with all these nets?
I actually have heard of a group of people that go to like different houses, different places, and help people get rid of their stuff. I don't know what they're called, like the hoarders, but they're like an adventurer group that goes to different people and helps it. I think this might be something that they could try to visit, but I've never met them. I've only heard of them.
I think I heard of them too. They have shows every now and then showing us some of like the antiques they find every now and then.
Something like that. Like they have auction sites, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
A lot of them are junk, of course, because not a lot of them are well kept. But they are a traveling group of adventurers that they do this kind of thing. I've heard of them. They're pretty popular.
Shireen says, I've never heard of them.
House Hoarders just became canon.
Yep, canon and Faerun. I was like, we have made what was it? HGTV? We have made it officially canon and Faerun. That's awesome.
Avis is
They don't have a TV show,
right
but
next
they
to you.
do have a show.
And okay, during all this discussion, and with also Avis now taking the lead with Shireen, following that sense of magic that you got from casting your spell, you all make it to the end, the other side of the room through this maze. Shireen looks back at the room and says, wow, I've never seen anything like this. And she just looks at the from floor to ceiling of this cavern, just stacked with stuff. And it actually is quite an impressive feat of engineering, even though it is just junk, piles and piles of junk. Shireen turns back towards the entrance of a new tunnel that you have reached. And Avis, you would feel now, being closer to where that source of magic was, you can feel that it's on the other side of this tunnel.
Well, it is time to meet our new friend. We'll make sure that you all are able to understand me. And, well, as always, be careful with what you say.
Okay, I'm going.
Yep.
Shireen just goes.
He nods. I mean, he doesn't really understand that process too much evolving around storm giants because he's assumed they're storm giants, but who knows? But he's also holding on for fun as he makes away.
Okay, so you all continue down this next tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, wherever Shari's going, I'm going because I have no way to move now unless I decide to hop off.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm definitely sort of like floating at the same sort of eye level as what Shireen would have there.
Okay. Cool.
Helena is also sort of floating with her flying boots. Tree Bush probably is right next to her, flying as well. She decides to give Tree Bush a little bit of like a rest of all the riding him. So she's just floating on her boots because she has that boots.
Great. And so Jackson, the other dragons are there as well. Jackson, actually, you do have your dragons with you as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Latreu and Avis.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, okay. So Yuki and Snowroot are also there as well. This tunnel, basically, if Shireen were to stand in the center of the tunnel, she would just have a couple of feet above her head, and it just kind of frames her on either side. So Jesse, depending on how wide your wingspan is, your wings might even graze either side of this tunnel if you're flying at her eye level. This tunnel now gets darker as you proceed down it. It seems like the ice here is much thicker, so there's less sunlight getting through to where you are. And as you get to the end of this tunnel, a light flickers on. A torch flickers on. And as you step towards the entrance of a new cavern, you see that it is ringed with torches, and there are walls covered with glittering, sparkling items. Avis, you are detecting quite a few magical things in this room. And in the center of it, this cavern to you all, stands Ymra. Ymra looks kind of like, if you were to imagine, I forget the name of the character, but this, the witch from Pirates of the Caribbean, if she were a frost giant.
Calypso.
Calypso, thank you.
Wow, nice.
So she has long, tangled locks of green and blue and silver that go down to her waist. And there's shells and helmets and gloves and even some like daggers kind of stuck in as if decoration in her hair. She wears a long flowing dress that is dark grays and silvers and greens and blues. She wears what looks like chainmail gloves up to her elbow and lots of glittery rings. She looks older, much older than Shireen. Shireen looks like maybe she's in her 20s or 30s. This woman looks like she's probably in her 60s. So you made it. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be in your presence. We have heard many stories.
You've heard stories. What have you heard, little person? She
I've
cranes
heard
her
you
neck
are
and peers at you, Avis.
You are a person that can attain many things and share many informations. Apparently, you have a way of knowing things that not many people know, which you have already demonstrated for us in a short fashion.
Are you trying to get on my good side?
Well, of course, being on the good side of someone like yourself is always a positive thing.
Yes, I would imagine so. She walks over to a large, comfy-looking chair and kind of reclines into it luxuriously. And you see that as she's now almost more horizontal in your view, you just see like the sheer length and size of this woman, just adorned, exquisite woman. So you've come to Yimra, the antiquary. I haven't had a customer in a while, so there are some things that I need before I can provide you with something you might need.
Question. She's still speaking just in Giant? Jesse will have a very polite bow, and he will say in common, I am very, very pleased to meet you, ma'am. I'm Jesse Diaz, and I apologize that I have not learned my good friend Latreu's tongue yet, so I don't want to offend or anything like that, but I would love to be able to have a good conversation with you. I'm able to speak Celestial and Aquan and Common, and again, if you would prefer to speak your native tongue, Davis is an excellent communicator, and but I like being able to talk to people directly if I can.
Go ahead and roll persuasion.
. 20 plus 2, 22.
She says the next part in common. I detest the language of humans. But since that is the language that we all can understand and speak, I will speak it for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And might I say, it's not my preferred language either. So I get where you come from.
Well, that's all I speak, angel person.
I know. Thank you for speaking it.
Does anyone else have any linguistic requests of Yimra?
Helena shakes her head.
It would make you a bit more comfortable. You and I can still exchange at least a little bit in Giant.
Good. So the following, from now on, she's going to speak a mixture of Common and Giant and kind of self-translate here and there so that everyone can understand between those two languages. Now, you have come to my door, found your way through my maze, and here you are in my chamber. What is it you seek?
Well, we seek many things, goods to buy, information you may have. Specifically, you recognized some of our companions a bit earlier, but Oh, don't let me be rude. Is there anything in particular you would prefer to discuss first?
First of all, I don't sell things. I trade. So if you can get something for me, then I can provide you with something in return. Now, you can either tell me first what you are seeking, or I can tell you what I'm seeking.
Well, if you insist. At the moment, we are searching for an area. Our companions are looking for a home, so to speak. You wouldn't happen to know where that would be, would you?
Oh, she looks over at all of the dragons that are in attendance here. I'm guessing you mean these runts of the litter. Is that right? And Jackson, at runts of the litter, Jackson kind of straightens up and says, "We are only just very young. We will get larger, I believe." And Yimra says, "Ha ha, you may not want to bet too much on that. You're barely a wormling still. I can smell that on you. But if you're looking for a home, where they're from, they are from this great glacier we stand upon. But they don't have a home anymore. So the choice is yours as to whether to try to assimilate back with the other white dragons, or to find your own place on this great sheet of ice."
You've mentioned other dragons twice now. Why are they so important?
Go ahead and roll. Oops. Okay. Clicked away from something important. Go ahead and roll insight.
Natural 20 for 25.
Great.
Nice.
Within these two mentions of the dragons, you sense that, yes, there's more that she isn't telling you. But you also get the sense that now, putting two and two together, hearing her mention these other dragons and the runts of the litter being the dragons that you all have come to know and love, you're realizing that it wasn't just the cult that drove them away. There was probably some interference by the other dragons.
Forgive me, I have a minor request to make of you. My people have a ritual that we like to do to ensure that everyone is speaking on a fair playing field, so to speak. Would you mind? He's going to cast Zone of Truth.
Okay. Is there any DC for that, or is it just anyone who?
Everyone who enters has to make a charisma saving throw.
Okay.
And if they succeed, they can lie. However, I am made aware if they succeed or not.
Okay.
Wait.
And what's the DC?
19.
19 DC?
How big is that cone, by the way? Because she's already like 35 feet tall. So
15 feet. So he will walk so that
Okay.
way he's within 15 feet of her.
Okay.
okay, so just her then. All right.
And sorry, the DC is 19, you said?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty high. Okay. Well, you walk up to this giant woman and cast your Zone of Truth, and you see a look of surprise on her. She looks down at you. All right. I'll tell you the truth. Here it is. These white dragons were driven off through treachery. The Redlands cult, they never would have known about them if it weren't for the Hellfan white dragons, the clan that now endures to the west of us on the Great Glacier. It was the Hellfans who told the Redlands cultists that these runts of the litter, what they called them, not me, that they had some type of abysmally evil nature and they needed to be cleansed from the face of the earth. Such was their power over these Redlands cultists, and the Redlands cultists obliged, made it their life's work to rid the world.
Hellfang? Hellfan.
Hellfan. Like the two words, hell and fan.
Okay. So all of you, Jesse is still lightly gliding, but all of you would definitely notice that the coloration of his wings shifts to more of like a stormy gray blue, and his eyes have a bit of a stormfront glow to them, and he's sort of like gripping his hand a little and says, "That's very good information, thank you."
I'm sure you are a woman in the know. Do you know for what purpose? I imagine they weren't acting purely out of some sense of holy fervor. Is there something they wanted?
They wanted to be rid of their mortal enemies. You see, the Pins, which is the clan that these barely wormlings are from, they were born special. They were favored by the gods. They were seen as not only being made of evil, they had potentially a greater purpose. People spoke their praises. The Hellfans did not like this. The Hellfans, you see, are very evil. The Hellfans carried this vendetta against the Pins as the Pins grew in number until they found a way to be rid of them for good.
Interesting. It appears you do indeed know a lot. If you do not mind my curiosity, there seems to be a lot of groups on this ice glacier. What are the relations with each other? More specifically, my friend here was lost for a while. Are these groups connected in some way?
The lost boy giant. She looks over at you, Latrell. Are you still on Shireen's back?
Mm-hmm. He's just listening intently to all of this. Kind of like holding on to Shireen's hair. I can take it back right as he does. Yeah. But he's definitely staring at it.
Mm-hmm. The lost boy giant. Yes, I remember that year so many ago. The Dorgnors sent for him, kidnapped him, and then he disappeared. And the war raged on until finally a truce was made. I mean, that's it. There's been a tenuous peace between this one's clan, and she waves at Shireen, and the Dorgnors for over a decade now.
And where does that place yourself?
Oh, myself. My clan has been gone for a long time. I'm blessed of mine. I serve I do not serve as a hand of any one clan over the other. Whoever needs my help, needs my services, can get it if they can offer the right price.
You said that this is a giant. You said you needed something for trade. What was it that you needed?
I've been waiting for you to ask. She sits back up and puts her elbows on her knees, cradles her face in her hands, and says, "You can imagine that a woman of my stature and position in life wouldn't need very much, especially from just a group of ragtag younglings like you. But there are certain places that I can't get into. I'm looking for an item that was lost many generations ago. You see, on this great glacier, many, many generations ago, there was war between the white dragons and the giants. And we had a hero, a champion known as Ergos. Ergos the Great. His voice boomed across the glacier. His mighty red flaming dagger would swoop down onto dragons in flight, in battle. It was a sight to behold. I was a young girl then, very, very young, but I remember. And so Ergos led the frost giants into a final battle with the dragons on the riverbank. And Ergos was felled. But despite losing our hero, our champion, the frost giants prevailed. The white dragons were driven back, and there has been peace between the two ever since. But Ergos's mighty dagger, his dagger of flame, never came back with the rest of the party. It must be somewhere there, somewhere underneath the ice. I can't approach because, being a woman of my stature, the white dragons would just raise hell if I tried to approach their territory. But you, tiny people with dragons, I bet you could get closer than I ever could.
Are these dragons the same dragons that have chased out our kin here?
Oh, yes, they are.
Well, that worked out very well, didn't it?
Would you mind if we wiped them out?
I mean, there's a lot of them. So you could try.
There's a lot we could do. And he nods. But he still got, again, it's really funny because he's just like holding on to his sister like a baby Yoda. But he's like, we got this.
This fierce baby just on the back of his sister going, we got it.
We got it.
Fierce baby.
Avis, I don't know if I can make like an insight check for this, but Avis is getting the strong feeling that this giant has managed to orchestrate this, or at least guide it. Is there like an insight or any other check to see if that's?
Yeah, go ahead. For that. Go ahead and roll insight. Yep.
21.
You get the sense that she didn't put these things into motion, but she does revel in all this kind of juicy gossip of the Great Glacier. She's not just a purveyor of goods for trade. She also likes to gossip.
Now, I have just a few questions. And some of it might need me actually talking to my boy over here first. Depending on whether or not they want to try and take their land back or try to find somewhere else. But I think we can have those conversations a little bit later on. If they do choose to look for somewhere else in this glacier to make their home, would you know a spot?
Well, let's see. The west is the Helfan territory. Here is the Rivara clan, and to the east is the Dorgnor clan. But This is a great, wide, large glacier. So perhaps further north, somewhere further north, might be unoccupied.
All right. And if we retrieve the stagger for you, and we try to go after these other dragons, we might need a few things, which I guess partially what we came here for, aside from the information. We were told that you're very skilled in the arcane.
She looks over at you, Jesse, and says, I think there's something that I could help you with. And she stands up and strides over to another wall of glittering magical things. She looks around. Where did I put it? Ooh, no, that's not it. Oh, there they are. And she pulls out what in her hands looks small, but a pair of boots. And these boots look, they're made of some type of leather. They are fur-lined on the tops and along the sides. They have, they look like good hiking boots. They have some good spikes on the bottom, leather laces as well. And she holds these out to you, Jesse, and she says, these are boots of the Winterlands.
All right.
These will help keep you warm. Because I noticed that you're wearing lots of layers, like more than anyone else.
I am very much a person who spends a lot of his time out in the sun on an island. So I am cold. And if we're going to be hunting white dragons, I imagine being extra protected from the cold is probably going to be helpful too.
Well, these boots will do that for you. This is just a preliminary gift. I have something else that would really help you. It could help you shed all those furs. And she looks over at the wall behind her, and from the very top pulls down a very small item. And you see that it's a ring with fur inside of it. A ring of warmth. I bet you'd like to get your hands on this, wouldn't you?
Probably. I could definitely be more comfortable with that old clothing on.
Well, those boots will get you over to the west and back. And once you've done what I need you to do, which is find this precious frost giant's relic and bring it back to me in one piece, you may have this ring of warmth.
Do you have any maps of where you think the artifact might have fallen that might help us refine our search?
Well, yes, I have some outdated maps. If you have a newer map, maybe I can show you on that.
Shireen, do you have any maps of the area?
Shireen looks in her bag. Yep, just 1 minute. Oh, yeah, here. Shireen pulls out a map and puts it down on the ground in front of you all. And so Yimra comes over and crouches down majestically. Okay. So here's the river that I speak of. The humans call it the River Palover. And you see where it widens into a lake here? You know, it's river, and then the mountain range. And then as it goes east, it widens into more of a lake. And then it gets narrower again as you enter the Vasa Valley. Well, in that lake area, that is where the battle was held, on those riverbanks. Now, the White Dragon's territory is to the north of there on the Great Glacier. But I think that wherever Argos fell, there fell his sword as well. So maybe it sunk into the ice. Maybe the dragons took it somewhere and are hoarding it as they tend to do. But that would be the place to look.
Well, I imagine you are very aware of the danger that your request will place us in. Are you sure there's nothing more that you can offer to us to ensure our return? After all, it is beneficial to you as much as to us.
Oh, you're very demanding, but let me see what I can get for you. And she goes back over to another wall and grabs some tiny vials that are almost like the size of her fingernails. She lowers her hand to you. Take these potions. They will help you heal should you take any danger. And she holds out 5 potions of greater healing to you.
Okay, he will take them.
Okay.
Jesse will probably be putting on the boots as we are talking. Spend some time thinking about getting comfortable with him to try and attune.
Okay, and I'm giving you the link to those in the chat. Little meta message right there.
Latreo kind of looks. It says, "You seem to know a lot. When all of this is done, can I come back and you can tell me more stories of things you know? There's a lot that I've missed out since I was not here."
You need to see your family. It's more important that you see them than me.
He nods. I meant afterwards.
All right, lost boy.
He smiles, and then he kind of like looks back, still grabbing, of course, the hair. And he looks at the others. He says, "Well, I like her. I'm ready to do this."
You can all definitely still see that Jesse's, the coloration is the color of, he's still, there's definitely a lot of anger in him. It's not directed towards this woman. He's just really thinking about like these other dragons that pushed out his family, basically. But he comes down to where Jackson is, and he says, "Now we've got a whole lot to think about, and I know that there's only 6 of y'all here right now. The other 6 are back on the island, but what do you think you want to do? I mean, I want to go out there and hurt these folks real bad, but that's mostly because they messed with you and your mind, my family. What do you want to do? You want to take this back, or do you want to find somewhere new for you and your brothers and sisters?"
Jackson, you can see that all of the dragons have taken in this information and are kind of reflecting it differently in their demeanor. So Jackson has gotten very still and quiet and using his very great, powerful mind to kind of logic his way through the options. Snowroot and Treebush, being a little bit more of the passionate, emotional ones, look angry. Treebush looks enraged but also just stricken with sadness. Yuki looks like just genuinely mad as well, but in a more simmering rage type of way. Jackson responds to Jesse's question and says, "I will need to talk to my brethren here to figure out what we would like to do, but judging from the looks on their faces, they will want some type of retribution.
And Latrell says, "Scorched earth."
Jesse. Oh, sorry.
Treebush says, "Scorched earth."
Jesse puts his forehead to Jackson and says, "We'll bring the storm, kid. Don't worry. We'll bring the storm."
Helena doesn't really understand the anger. Like, she understands why, but she's never had that same feeling that where, she too has that loss, like she lost everything, but instead of being angry, she ran away. So she's experienced the same loss that Treebush has experienced, but she doesn't understand the anger that she's feeling. So she approaches Treebush and is like, "Whatever you decide, I'll help you. But if you decide not to fight, the fight is big, and you know how I feel about big fights. My option is always the other direction, but I will be here for you. I will not leave, basically. And this is not just because I want to do something else and not face my demon. You know that we talked about that, but I don't truly understand the anger that you're feeling, but it doesn't matter because I am here for you."
Nods. Scorched earth. Scorched earth. And Snowroot
Got it.
sees this and hears this and says, "Scorched earth."
The trail nods. He definitely gives, he as someone who completely shares that passion in relatively similar circumstances, he can relate to him on definitely a level, and he just looks at her like, "We got this covered."
And Latrell, go ahead and do an insight check on Snowroot.
Insight. Okay, it's not animal handling. Okay, animal handling.
Yeah, this is insight.
I'm going to use lucky for that because that was a horrible roll. Much better. +2. That's a 21.
Okay. Despite Snowroot saying scorched earth, you feel like it's only because his cousin/siblings here seem so sure. Snowroot's still figuring out how he feels about it.
Oh, she? Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
She's still figuring out how she feels about this, but she's saying scorched earth because she's in with her brethren.
Oh, interesting. Latrell would definitely cock that. When he cocks that, he kind of like turns his head to the side and makes note about it. He's not going to approach the conversation out in the open like this, but he definitely is going to talk to her about it in private when there is some time. Interesting, right?
Okay. So with that, Yimra says, "So do you have everything you need to make your quest for me?"
Your hospitality has been very appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Helena just raises her hand slowly.
Yes, you elf.
Do you happen to have those boots, like extra boots maybe? Make it a little bit easier for me to walk around. Now, I don't really need it because I have flying boots, but maybe you have something similar that will help me sort of traverse in this land.
Go ahead and roll persuasion.
Y'all can definitely see that once the dragons had voiced their support of this idea, that Jesse has been there are visible tears coming down.
I'm gonna use Lucky to
Okay.
reroll.
All right.
because he is just feeling the absolute pain and loss that these kids have been through themselves, and it's tears of anger on their part.
17 for Helena.
Okay. Yimra has a glimmer in her eye. You are such a charming group. How can I deny you what you need? And she walks over to the same area and pulls out another pair of boots. And these are, the other ones came up almost to the knee. These are kind of like midway boots, kind of ankle boots, I should say. But still look very warm and very well made. And she hands them over to you. An extra pair, just
Thank
for
you.
you, elf.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, that really is the last pair that I have.
You've been very gracious.
Yeah,
I know.
He looks towards Avis like, yeah, I don't understand why you say we need to hide something. She's a storm giant. She's nice.
Hide something?
Well, Avis said we should hide something. I did understand. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess we do. But you seem nice.
What did you need to hide from me?
I don't know.
Actually, let's see.
The zone of truth is still going, so I'm
Yeah.
He didn't know what he was supposed to hide. He just said, Avis just said, you got to be careful. I was like, okay, all right. Well, we have to be careful about it.
Oh, goodness, she's not rolling well today. Do you want to tell me what you want to hide from me?
There are many things that are not very easy to know about people, especially on their first meeting. Unfortunately, the exact details can be a bit difficult.
All right. Well, honestly, you all have made this into a very interesting morning for me. And I may have my precious Ergos's flaming dagger soon, so I'll let this slide. But bring me what I need, and all will be well. Now go! And that go just booms through the cavern. And Shireen gets up, she rolls up the map that she had on the floor, and she's like, okay, I think we should go.
See you soon. He kind of waves. Again, he sees her as a really cool lady. I mean, like, and so he has no concern, but he's also not really like the hide, keep close to the chest height. He's pretty open. So
I mean, I guess she shouted the go in like giant
yeah.
and just sort of like got surprised. Helena got surprised and was like, Treebush, let's go. It sounds like she wants us to go. Let's go. So Treebush and I are like, let's go. So.
And with that, we will take a very brief break. Since we had one earlier, we'll just take like a 5-minute break.
Awesome. Well, again, first of all, thank you again, Dr. Doom Eternal, for the bits. We definitely appreciate it. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we should be back shortly for the second half. Again, if you like what you see here, you can definitely join our Discord. I can put the Discord link in chat. We have a section specifically dedicated for Lords of Faerun, where you can have fan art, spoilers, as well as the non-spoiler section. Of course, ask questions regarding the cast, so forth. So it's a great section for us to be able to talk and communicate with the fans out there. And of course, if you like to support us monetarily, you can, of course, join our Patreon, which the link is just further up in chat. And we'll see you soon in about 5 minutes. All right. And we are now back for the second half of Lords of Faerun. Aliza, take it away.
Okay. It's a bit less than second half because we did like a third of the way break and now a 2/3 of the way break. So the last third, let's say.
Yeah, that's true.
Just to manage people's expectations. Okay, so you all had this meeting with Yimra. Actually, I'm sorry. Can you hear that jackhammering? Okay, good. That's amazing. Yay, Mike. Thank you for filtering that out. So you all had your congregation with Yimra in her cave, and you now have exited the cave, and I presume you are on your way to the west. Is that right?
Mhm.
Okay. So you have dragons that you can ride on, and Shireen has a very long stride. So you actually can get to where you're going very quickly. So let me just, on our map that we're using, sorry for all the clicks, I know it's loud. So
Okay.
from where you are, you're about, let's see, the castle that's in the valley of Vasa, just at the foot of the ice wall of the Great Glacier. That castle is about 40 miles from where you stand. So now you will need to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 90, 100 miles to your direct west to get to the riverbank that she spoke of, where the battle took place between the dragons and the frost giants many, many generations ago, or many centuries ago. To the north of that, directly to the northeast of that on the Great Glacier itself, is where the dragons, the white dragons territory is. Now, if you were to fly with your dragons, those 100 miles would take, what's the translation? The dragons travel at 70 miles per hour. So you could go per hour. Yeah, it would take under 2 hours to get over to the riverbank.
Perfect.
So Jesse's going to say to everyone, so I know we might have a whole undertaking ahead of us, and it probably is not smart of us to just rush into this as much as I want to get going as soon as possible. However, if we're going to be taking on a clan of white dragons that forced our kin out, maybe we need to get the whole band together before we head in there. I'm talking about bringing the other kids here. If they're going to be fighting for their homeland, maybe they want to be involved too.
The other dragons?
Yeah.
Do not disagree with the concept, however. I will give all of you a bit of a warning. Do not trust that woman. I have met plenty of people like her, and do not trust her.
Betrayal kind of like turns his head to the side, curious about that statement. He says, what was it that caused, or what was it that made you feel like she was untrustworthy?
Let's just say she reminds me a bit too much of people I would like to not interact with anymore. What he told us is true. This is very much something that she is very invested in seeing end. And, well, do not trust her.
Well, I already stated I was at least going to get the dagger. If you want to wait until the dragons return, if you all believe we want to wait until the remaining half returns before we attempt to wipe out this Hellfan clan, I'm good with that.
Wipeout is pretty strong. There's literally 12. Not to look down on you, Treebush. There's 12 of you, and there's a whole clan of them. I think if we are going to attempt to wipe out anybody, we like going the Giants way is probably not the best way. I think we need to do this a little bit of strategic, like plant little bombs on the side kind of way instead of like, rushing in. If you know what I mean. You do know what I mean, right, Treba?
Treebush, now I'm guessing, is this conversation happening in flight or where are you?
You're only in flight towards the location.
Okay. Treebush says, Treebush looks like a slight bit more calm than before, but still has that vengeance kind of rippling through their body. And Treebush responds, I guess it would be smart for us not to just rush in. We should probably find out more about how many dragons there are and how big their territory is and things like that. And yes, going head to head with a whole clan of dragons probably isn't the best idea, but I really want to ice press them.
But
you will get that chance. Obviously, I want you to get that chance. But let's do it more of like a knife instead of a hammer. It'll hurt them more.
Jackson pipes in and says, yes, I've been pondering this myself, and I think that is a good strategy, Helena. We should be strategic. We should use our wits and our smarts to try to trick them and use cunning.
Exactly.
Those are all very, very good and very wise decisions. What do we know about the culture of dragon clans?
Well, you can roll to see. You roll Arcana. You can roll Nature.
Would that be for any of us or specifically Avis?
Yeah, whoever would like to see what they know about dragons or these particular dragons.
Okay.
In general.
I will give Bardic Inspiration to
I will.
I don't know who has a really good role for this. I don't know.
I think any of us do. I have a 0 on all of those. Nature.
I have
Arcana,
2 on
history.
Arcana. Or I have 2 on Arcana and Nature. So if anybody has any higher.
That's about right. I rolled a 7.
I'll give it to Helena.
I have a -2, so I might.
So Helena will roll it.
A -2.
Let's see what I get with that -2.
I got a 13 on my roll.
And which did you roll, Avis?
Arcana.
Okay.
I'm going to roll Arcana as well, based on like maybe she would know something being in her background, as it were.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
I made an 8 in Nature.
So all you know, Jesse, is that there are dragons that are white and red and green and different colors. That's what you know.
Yep. Latrell is probably the same because he rolled a 7. I have no modifiers.
What does the Bardic Inspiration do?
You add a D10 to your roll, if I recall correctly.
So I rolled a 16 plus 2 for my Arcana, so that's 18. I'm gonna add
a D8.
Add a D10.
Not D10.
Oh, I'm gonna add a D8. So that's plus 3, 21.
Okay. So Helena with your 21 and Avis with your 13. Helena, actually, Avis we'll start with you. You both would know this, that white dragons are typically considered, well, they are the smallest of all the types of dragons. They're considered the least intelligent usually because they are the most animalistic of dragons. Obviously, that is a huge blanket statement because we see Jackson, who is a very intelligent white dragon. But as a species in general, that's how they are known, to be a bit more animalistic, less intelligent. They are driven by hunger and greed. They also are known to be excellent hunters, and they consume only food that has been frozen. Now, Helena, you would, being in the cave with Ymra and some things that she said about Ergas, the great champion, the great frost giant champion from centuries ago when she was a child. That story kind of percolates in your mind because it brings together now with your previous knowledge of dragons that white dragons in particular tend to keep the bodies of their greatest enemies as trophies. They typically will freeze the corpses and put them on display where they can look at them and gloat about their previous victories and foes.
And you said it's like normally where they gather, like maybe a home or like a throne room or of sorts.
It would be somewhere. It would probably be with their treasures.
So, knowing what I know about them, I explained to the group that if we're looking for this sword, there's a chance that they might not have taken it, which I doubt it because he was wielding it pretty, they knowing how white dragons are, there's a big chance that what we're looking for is with the body, and the body is probably where they keep their treasures at, where they try to look at it. So it's going to be in a pretty guarded location, the most guarded location that they might possibly have, because they want to, it's part of their treasure. And I think we can look at where he fell just to see if they didn't pick it up. But I highly, highly doubt that. It might possibly be in their treasure room.
And if it is in their treasure room, I imagine that, and he's sort of like patting Jackson's neck, I imagine that you shouldn't be with us, kid, when we go there the first time. Because if something happens to us, you and your brothers and sisters are probably going to have to find a way to get strong enough to eventually take this place back on your own.
Are you saying we shouldn't come with you because you might be felled by these dragons and we have to avenge your death? Did I understand that right?
More or less, kid. I'm worried that if they see you guys, we are trying to sneak in there and have a look at the territory, they might go all in on you, and we might not be ready for that.
Okay. And Yuki, Avis, your dragon Yuki, says, I think maybe what you're also trying to say is that we're not going to be the stealthiest. Is that right? Because that's what I'm thinking. I mean, just based on what I'm hearing, they're going to notice some other white dragons trying to get to their treasure room.
Well, stealth would always be a problem because he kind of looks at myself, he points to himself, and then Shireen, who's following suit on the ground, he says, we're large individuals. So the only way stealth would be possible is if we remain behind. And you know me, I'm not the stealthy type. Either I'm not going to go in and use conniving tactics. I'm going to go in and slice off all of their heads. So it depends if you want to do a scouting routine first, it may be best for us. And he points to Shireen and the dragons ourselves to remain behind while you investigate. And then after follow suit, we can follow it behind. But as we see from our Underdark, the Underdark, I can't participate in stealth. I'm made to smash.
There may be another option. Creatures and entities such as these tend to place a great deal of weight on their perceived status, so it may be possible, I know it would be possible, to convince a one-on-one battle between one of us and their leader. It would at least even the battlefield a little. However, it is a great risk, as it would be, well, a fair fight with a dragon.
One-on-one, and if it's a leader, I'm imagining, I mean, no offense, but probably going to be 2 to 3 times the size of your sister?
We talk about bigger than Shireen?
Well, if it's the leader of these white dragons, I imagine this isn't going to be somebody small. You heard Imra. Like, unfortunately, apparently the Pin clan is smaller than the Hellfang clan.
If he would be bigger, it wouldn't be by much. But if he was big, I could do something about it. That's not a problem.
I do want to point out, as you know, I have the ability to make some of us a little bit more unseen, invisible, so to speak. But I can only do it with one person, and I can probably do that for you, Latreo. Just, I understand that you don't want to do the sneaky tactic just because you're a big boy, and that's fine. But if I were able to make you invisible, maybe we can do something a little bit. We can do a little bit of the sneaky tactics, because I do want to stress this is a big clan that doesn't have any opponents for a while, no nemesis. So they've had plenty of time to grow big. Now, maybe they've become lazy, and that would work to our advantage of sneaking in. But the whole idea of just slamming on the front door really is something that I would have to, advise us not to do. We can definitely do the sneaky thing that I've mentioned earlier with the invisible spell that I have that I can do for you, Latreo. But I agree, the dragon shouldn't be with us. Chill out, Treebush. It's okay. The dragon shouldn't be with us on the first try.
Treebush is just like, yeah, this all makes sense.
I'm not entirely sure. On the off chance that we do sneak inside, what would be our plan after that?
I think we should plant bombs in good locations, in very specific, like under their bed, where they sleep, kind of bombs, and just boom.
Well,
that's exactly what Helena says.
Unfortunately, I have never been a student of alchemy, so I would be unable to create such devices. So would any of you?
I have no idea how to go about doing that, to be honest. But I do think that step number 1, checking out where our boy fell in the battle. Step number 2, scouting out the place and deciding what we can see afterwards, and then coming up with a better plan.
Yeah, he looks at Helena and doesn't sit right. I'm okay with looking to investigate and then coming up with a best plan of attack. But to place bomb and have it explode in do no work that does it. It kind of places his chest. Does it sit right with me? I'd rather fall honorably than drop or walk away dishonorably. So,
Oh, I understand. I mean, you can still fight them. This is just like backup plan of the bombing. Even though like this is just Helena's way of like placating everybody, but she's already thinking about like how she's gonna build like as many bombs as she can, where she's gonna plant them. She's gonna talk to Ice about it and just be like, where would be the best place? How many bombs would we need? Because she's totally not gonna fight these dragons head on. She's like, no, I want as much, as much advantage on our side than on their side. And like, she's not going to fight honorably. Obviously, she's not an honor. She's a good person, but she's not an honorable person. She's not going to fight honorably.
But tactics.
She's like, oh yeah, totally. Latrell, honor. Yeah. She's thinking about the bombs and she's thinking about like how she's going to build them and what she would need. Can I roll for like knowledge? Like if I know how to do that?
Yes. While you're doing that, yes, go ahead and roll bombs. I don't know. Roll bombs.
Roll for bomb.
Let's see. Sleight of hand.
Yeah, let's roll for sleight of hand because I have plus 12 on that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sleight of hand. While you're rolling for that, Ice has been listening to you say this, Helena, riding nearby on Fred the Dragon, and she says first to the group, she says, I like either plan. We either blow up and then we stab, or we stab and then we blow up. And then she leans over to you, Helena, just for you to hear. And she says, but I like bombs. We should do bombs.
I have a 27 altogether. You're on mute.
So that was for your bomb making skills? Okay. All right.
I think we were still heading towards at least the location of the spot where he's supposed to fall, I think, as well.
Yes, I believe that's where we're going. While they are flying there as well, Jesse is definitely calmed down a bit and still angry, but the color of his wings has definitely returned to more of that normal sort of like ocean colored glow. And he says to Latrell, you've been in a fair amount of places since we all started traveling together. And we've seen a few canyons, right? Now, I think in this circumstance, we kind of need to be more like the river that carves the canyon instead of like the tidal wave that washes out the civilization, if you know what I mean. That canyon is only there because the water moved through it over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, slowly washing away all resistance to make that big old carving. But it still got the job done.
Interesting.
Piece by piece, we take them away.
I see what you're saying there. It makes sense. I just have to see also what feels right. From just personally. I see what you mean by not having to rush in. Patience could work as well. But I don't know. He kind of looks at himself, looks at his chest. He also actually grabs the medallion, the amulet, that's what his chest, that kind of hangs around. And it looks and says, I think as long as it doesn't hurt here, that I should be fine. But if something feels wrong, I'll know. I will know.
All right.
Nah. All right. But yeah, it's like, wait.
So you all arrive at the riverbank, and in order to get there, obviously you have to crest back over the edge of the Great Glacier. And as you crest over, Shireen comes to the edge, and she says, "It's gonna take me a minute to get down there, so I'll meet you over there." And she starts sits down on the edge of the Great Glacier and starts to make her way down the side of it. As you all just soar over the edge, the Gallon mountain ranges to the west are facing you. You see the valley of Vasa open up to your left, to the south. And you see this riverbank, mostly frozen. You see how it's widened out to kind of this lake shape and then narrows back into a river on either side of it, going west and then behind towards your direction to the east. And you land, and here you are at the riverbank. You, at first, don't notice anything out of the ordinary. It looks like a typical riverbank. Sheets of ice. There are just boulders of ice, smaller glaciers of ice kind of rolling down the river. And the banks of the river are packed solid with ice and snow.
Well. Should we get to looking?
Nah, I reckon we will.
Yeah, he'll hop off and then already starts to eye himself around the surroundings. Kind of takes a look at how close is Shireen to where they are, just because he's definitely keeping an eye out on how far he's able to transition while they're making search. Is she still halfway in the cliff? Does she make her way all the way down? How far does she manage?
By the time that you all arrive at the riverbank, you can see her at the ice sheet, just kind of carefully making her way down. She's almost at the bottom.
Okay.
All right. You could have, just shrunken her down, and then we could have just carried her down. She didn't have to climb.
I don't think she would appreciate being smaller.
Maybe not.
Down, I suppose.
It does feel weird. When you struck me before, it felt odd, but it felt nice at the moment, but it did feel odd.
So, to each their own. And then he is going to ritually cast detect magic, and you start walking around.
Yep. Latreo starts looking around for the item.
Okay.
And so does Helena, but she also has I also have detect magic on, so I'm gonna use one of my slots to detect some magic.
Okay.
I would just like to. I don't know. I kind of want to make a survival check to see along the lines of. So Jesse's gonna sort of take there just a little bit and get a good scan of it, and I want to get a lay of the land, as were possible deformations, or can I tell how things might have changed over time. I don't know if you want survival or nature on that, but I'll roll either.
I would say nature for that.
Okay.
And then for those of you who want to look for things besides detect magic, if you want to just do a visual check, go ahead and roll investigation.
Okay. Oh, investigation. Oh, I thought it was perception. Oh, okay.
Oh, well, yeah. If you're actively looking for something, then I would say investigation.
Okay. Yeah, that's not going to help much. Here we go.
If you want to just get like a passive, I mean, I kind of gave you a perception check basically already with what you can see around you. So if you want more, then you'll have to do investigation.
I just rolled an 11 for the nature check.
Okay.
So 16 on the dice, which that's all I get because there's no modifier to my intelligence. So,
Okay.
16 up.
23 for Helena.
Nice.
All right. So Jesse, Avis, were you rolling anything or just detect magic?
Just detect magic.
Okay. All right. So Jesse, as you're flying around over this widened river and the riverbank, you do notice that you notice a couple of things. You notice that this is definitely a more active region of the river. Where this river widens out, there are some strong currents that kind of kick up, and that icy water moves the ice and rushes it around. And you recognize that as just a place where different water currents are intersecting because there's more space for them to do so. So you notice that. You also notice that, yes, indeed, this riverbank is packed with ice and snow. It's been a long time since anyone has traversed this particular area, so there's no fresh tracks or anything around here. You also notice on the ice sheet wall, which is, let's see, looking back at our map, you're about, it says, you're about 10 miles from the ice sheet now. And by the way, Shireen is still like making her way over now, crossing those 10 miles to you. But 10 miles away, back at the ice sheet, you notice some like divots in them. And it's not, you didn't see these in other places of the ice sheet. Just in this section, you kind of see some like what look like, this is not what it is. This is not me being a sneaky DM. This is not what it is, but it's as if a giant woodpecker had bored holes in the side, and they're kind of sporadically placed. There doesn't seem to be a pattern. So that's what you get with your nature check. And then Kira, Latreu, with your, was it 16 in investigation? You notice these holes as well. And if you walk over just a little bit closer, you start to see that some of them actually do go further in and some of them don't. So there are varying depths, these holes in the ice wall. And then Helena, with your 23, was it, investigation?
Yep.
One of them, about midway up on the glacier, looks as if it does go further in. You and Avis are detecting magic faintly from that one.
Is it high up? Like you have to look up to?
It's also 10 miles away. So
okay.
Yeah.
What kind of magic is it that we're detecting?
It's various kinds. It's kind of like you're just detecting a mishmash of different types of pretty much all kinds.
Okay.
There's something in that direction.
It looks like it. Is this where we plan to do our stealth thing?
Shireen at that walks up to you and says, and she looks to where you all are looking. She's like, I just came from over there.
I kind of saw you come down. I wasn't sure though.
So that's where we need to go.
What did you notice when you were over there?
I was able to use some of those holes in the wall as like grips coming down. Actually, yeah, one of them went like really far in.
Is it big enough for us to fit, or?
Well, big enough for you all to fit. I think Latreu could probably fit too, but I definitely couldn't.
He walks up to Shireen. He says, "Uppies."
He lifts him up and puts him on his shoulder.
And he got a place over to the holes. Like, I think I could get inside that one. And I'll point to it.
Yeah.
curiosity, would any of you happen to have an additional bag of holding?
Unfortunately not.
No.
What's a bag of holding?
A bag that is normal size, but quite large on the inside.
No. I just have this. He's had like some containers for like drinks and water skins and stuff like that.
All right.
All right. But yeah, I guess now I'm on Tree's shoulders, like pointing towards the hose. Like you said, I could be able to fit in there, right?
You could, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, if that's where we're going, then let's go. And Shereen just starts off. And if the rest of you follow, that's actually where we will end this session with our party walking away from this frozen riverbank back towards the wall of the glacier to find out what is in this tunnel that's about halfway up this giant glacier wall. So we will be back next week. I'll let Kira do the outro.
Yay.
Ooh. What a great session. I was telling Lisa during the break, the lore in this episode was absolutely juicy. So thank you so much for this awesome session, this episode. So, of course, I think we kind of went around a few of the outros, but just at the same time, we didn't get the chance to get Jesse, Adrian to talk about the Bear Pen. So if you'd like to talk about the Bear Pen a bit, about projects you're working on.
Sure thing, yeah. So a number of the folks here, in fact, everyone here at some point will be in a show on the Bear Pen. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., we have our Chapter 11 of Blood on the Bayou coming out, which is going to be really exciting. We only have 3 more episodes of this season, and then you guys will be able to catch 4 very unique character vignette episodes if you are part of our Patreon, which will be pretty great. They will come out a little bit later down the line on YouTube as well, but for a while they will be exclusives to Patreon members. So you can catch us tomorrow, twitch.tv/thebearpen with an H at the end of pen. And yeah, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at the Adrian Bear. I have a couple of other projects as well going on, running games for people, etc. And as Glyza said earlier, our City of Mist show starts on Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that is going to be a whole lot of fun. If you're into urban fantasy and noir content, please come check it out.
Awesome. As for yours truly, I am Kira858. Of course, we have this stream here. Once again, thank you all so much. We also, of course, have our Riverwood Academy that comes in every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which, of course, is like a young adult Harry Potter type campaign. So if you like magic and you like that nice atmosphere, definitely go ahead and give us a shot. Our DM is Erin, and she's a fantastic individual with a lot of great lore and great content in place. We also, of course, will likely have a special guest this upcoming Saturday. And just stay on the lookout for Twitter for that information. We'll probably release that within the next couple of days. As well as on our YouTube, be on the lookout because there's going to be some exclusive new campaigns that's coming up in the near future that's be released specifically on YouTube. Thank you again so much for taking time for watching this session. We're going to raid Vanna because she is currently having her 4-year partnership anniversary. So we're going to go ahead.
Yay, Vanna!
Yes. So we're going to go ahead and send her a raid. So give me 1 second. And then from there, like I said, we will be back on the following Saturday for episode 6 of The Lords of Faerun. So with that said, farewell from now.